Hey everyone, my name is Brandon.
My name is Ethan.
And welcome to the first episode of the Spiked Casuals podcast.
Today we're going to tell you guys who we are, the purpose of this podcast, and finally some decks that we love in this format.
Alrighty, let's lead into it. Alright, so initially just who we are. We are both CEDH players and high power commander players who kind of noticed over time that there is some misinformation on the internet about what CEDH is, CEDH being competitive EDH, obviously. There's a lot of misinformation spread about, the community itself, the price of decks, the barrier to entry. A lot of just wrong information on that. We just wanted to kind of straighten that out.
Like how Forcible is not required for every single deck you play.
Though recommended.
Can't argue with that.
All right. So, anyway, we thought we'd talk about some decks that we enjoy, just to kind of give you guys a sense of who we are as players. These aren't necessarily all just straight CEDH. Some of the decks we're talking about today are also just high-power commander decks that you could build on a budget or build not on a budget. So, anyway, why don't we lead it off with Ethan today?
Cool. The first deck I'm going to talk about is going to be one that I've been brewing, honestly, just so much recently. Shroom the Hegemon. I absolutely adore this card. I love anything combo. Blue and black is my child. And she lets me play artifacts, which is something I don't normally do if it's not for the purpose of an Isochron Scepter.
So why don't you read us Shroom right quick?
Shroom the Hegemon cost 1 Esper, 3 colorless. She's a legendary artifact creature type Sphinx. She's a 5/5 flyer, and her effect is when Shroom the Hegemon enters the battlefield, you may return target artifact from your graveyard to the battlefield.
So it seems like what you want to do with that is have her enter the battlefield a lot.
See, that's the beauty of her effect. It is so versatile. It is both a combo piece in the command zone as well as a value engine. It is not uncommon to cast Shroom to attempt to go infinite, and also just cast Shroom to get back either like a stacks piece, or honestly, I've ramped with it. Mox Opal is a valid target for Shroom.
So I'm guessing you want to kill somebody with Shroom in her deck.
It is very easy, and ironically, her 5/5 stats are not how you do it.
5/5 flying.
5/5 flying stats. For honestly, Shroom's main win con is something that a lot of people don't really know about, and it is the fact that she abuses the legend rule better than arguably any commander I can think of. The best cards in our Shroom list are like Sculpting Steel or Phyrexian Metamorph, paired with any kind of ETB or Leave the Battlefield trigger. My personal favorite combo with Shroom is a combination of either Metamorph and Sculpting Steel with Shroom, plus the iconic Disciple of the Vault, God bless Affinity, and or something like Altar of the Brood. It's a wonderful card. She even goes off with, what was the card I'm trying to think of? Blasting Station, Ashnod's Altar.
Yeah.
Anything that involves sacking, copying. She loves Minion Reflector. She absolutely adores. What is the card? Mirrorworks. Mirrorworks is the other version of Minion Reflector, right?
Yes.
It is another one of our wonderful 5 mana pay to copy something.
Right.
It's like Mimic Vat, but good in this list. No shade to Mimic Vat. It's really fun for Lifesteal Colossus.
Right.
But
so how does Shroom feel about something like Blood Artist?
She does and she doesn't. It is totally viable if you go so much harder on her. Personally, the fact that Disciple of the Vault will trigger just as much for 1 mana less,
right,
ironically makes Blood Artist the weaker card. Also, you do not understand the joy that is using Altar of the Brood, which again is also cheaper than Blood Artist and requires no colored mana to cast, and then like mind slaving someone and killing them on their draw step as them.
Yep.
It is absolutely lovely, and I cannot describe how brilliant it is to pull off.
So I'm guessing decks like this are a big fan of, Deadeye Navigator?
And Force of Will.
And Force of Will.
Also, I was going to throw that out there, another reason I love Shroom is I think that Esper is, in my 100% honest opinion, the most powerful tutor package in all of Commander. I adore Sultai as my favorite color combination, but I think Enlightened Tutor in a deck like this will be crushing Worldly Tutor. Yeah. My Shroom list is like 14 tutors and things to blow your head off, and I love it.
In the description below of this video too, or I guess this will be a podcast episode, but we'll have all the deck list for what we talk about today posted.
The ones that we play in paper.
Yes, our actual paper lists. We're pretty big on that. So what's a list like this going to set you back? Like how cheap can you build it for it to be real?
Honestly, as long as you're not trying to play a bunch of fetch lands, which to me, it helps the deck, but it's not as relevant as you think it is.
Doesn't have to be there.
Well, mostly because we can actually tutor out artifact lands. People, that's a wonderful thing. You can totally tutor out some artifact lands.
Ancient
lovely.
Den, Vault of Whispers, and Seat of the Synod are probably great in this deck.
Darksteel Citadel.
Darksteel Citadel. Yep.
That's an artifact.
Turns on Metalcraft.
It turns on Metalcraft. You will always have an active Mox Opal, and you will always be casting Thoughtcast for 1. Unless you've been Vandal Blast, in which case Sharoom's probably lost.
Yeah, if you've been Vandal Blasted, you might have lost. Unless you had Force of Will.
Unless you have Force of Will. Or Mana Drain.
You
know what? Let's be a man and Mana Tithe it.
Tithy?
But, oh god, I love Mana Tithe. To summarize how she is as a deck, it is wonderful, and her price range is going to put you... I think my first list was right around $500. And that was allowing her to have Shocks, Pain Lands, pretty much every tutor in her list, Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar, all of her combo pieces.
$500 is a really good place to be getting in for a high power CD, or not necessarily CDH, but high power commander deck.
I would say she is a high power deck. If you try to use the common scale of the 1 to 10 scale, with 7 being where you hit that high power mark before we're going into the CDH,
right? I
think Shroom is a very, very solid 7, maybe 7.5 if you really give her the stuff you need. Right. Give her the fetch ones, I think she hits 8, which is I want to be CDH, and to be honest, in future podcasts and probably videos, we'll explain to you how to get there. Because I think Sharoom is a wonderful stepping stone. Also, if you want to just build a cheaper deck with Sharoom, you can also backset that from my Mono Blue Brothers and just play Emery.
Yep, Emery is really, really good.
And that also will be discussed in the future.
That will also be discussed in the future, yes. So let's move on to the first pick that I had. For my high power commander deck, I wanted to talk about Purphoros, God of the Forge. Before we get into it, just so you know, Purphoros, God of the Forge is 3 in a red, legendary enchantment creature type God, indestructible. He has the Theros God condition of he is not a creature unless your devotion to red is 5 or 5 or more. Purphoros says that whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you get to shock the entire table. He also has for 2 in a red, all of your creatures get +1/+0 until end of turn, and he is a 6/5. So, why are we playing this deck? So Purphoros is... You might have heard he is a Goblins deck, and that is both correct and very wrong at the same time. More than anything, you want to be making tokens.
He is not your run-of-the-mill Krenko list.
He is not a Krenko list. I would argue he is leaps and bounds better than Krenko. However, Krenko functions very well inside the 99 of Purphoros. So, what are some cards that really, really work with Purphoros? You'd want to break that down by, how can we make his damage bigger? And then what are we using to make the damage? So, new cards like Torbrand have been super duper helpful to Purphoros because it essentially doubles his baseline damage.
He is the best commander in a Purphoros deck.
He is the best commander in a Purphoros deck.
He is the best commander in a Purphoros deck, but you do not want him at the head of the deck.
No, you definitely don't want him up top.
He is for Purphoros what Purphoros is to Krenko.
Exactly. Some other cards in there that are going to buff your damage up. We're looking at our classic doublers like Furnace of Wrath, Dictate of the Twin Gods. We're wanting Impact Tremors in this deck, the half Purphoros. Cards like that in general. Now, how are we dealing a lot of damage efficiently on the mana scale? So cards like Nor in the Wary, for example.
Are we going to explain the shock scale?
I think this is the time to explain the shock scale.
Okay.
So, pretty early on, Ethan has been helping me test this deck since basically the day I put it together. We figured out pretty quickly that the best way to assess how Purphoros was killing you was to break it down in shocks, in reference to the card Shock, the 1 mana deal 2 damage. And it quickly became this joke of the shock scale and how efficient is a creature on the shock scale. This is explained pretty in depth in my actual deck list on Tapped Out, but we're going to go ahead and talk about it today too. Efficiency on the shock scale, for example, assuming you have Purphoros in play, you want cards like Krenko's Command, cards that are 2 mana that are dealing roughly double their mana cost and damage.
Or an Instigator.
Goblin Instigator, Krenko's Command, Whirling Outburst. Mogwar Marshal.
The All-Star, Siege Gang Commander, and Beetleback Chief.
Siege Gang Commander and Beetleback Chief are actually insane. Now, best creature in this deck, by far, Nor in the Wary. Nor in the Wary is a 1 mana 2/1 that says whenever a creature attacks or a player casts a spell, exile him, return him to play at the end of the turn. So what you're getting here is basically if an opponent makes a game action, you're going to be dealing at least 2 to them on that end step. So, in case you didn't piece that apart directly, Norin the Wary is an incredibly hard card to get rid of because any removal spell you cast on him will put his trigger on the stack. Should you try to stifle that trigger, you're going to put it on the stack again. To the best of our knowledge, the best way to kill that card is what? Like static effects like Elishnorn? Elishnorn, yeah.
He does not die to Force of Will.
No.
And he passes the Bolt test.
He does.
Without passing the Bolt test.
He passes the Bolt test without passing the Bolt test.
Because Bolt never hits him in the first place.
Nope. Never gets to see resolution.
Can I go ahead and explain the little bit more about why the shock scale is called the shock scale? To go ahead and give a little bit of story about us as players and our growth. The reason the shock scale worked is one of the decks I'll be talking about in a little bit was actually the one that tested against Purphoros a lot. But this deck is not in the realm of high power 3H. That'll be more just when we discuss like just our fun decks that we played. We didn't understand the efficiency of swinging these random 1/1s.
No, not at all.
So the reason the shock scale worked is I actually never had goblins or Purphoros crack into me.
Yeah, I never used to go to combat steps in this deck unless he was at like 5 life, and it was just like, I mean, yeah, I've got 10 power on board.
And I, in fact, was smacked for 16 tonight by a Purphoros in 1 turn. So I can go ahead and confirm that things have changed. The deck has gotten more consistent. This is the most pet deck of mine that I have never played myself outside of just for fun. I've never actually like played the deck myself or owned it. But it is a wonderful deck to play around with. And it's really fun to make burn viable without praying that your head hits something.
I mean, like, how long have we been doing this deck now? I put this together in what, like late 2017?
He was built the same time Vendilion Clique was, and that was over 3 years ago.
Yeah, so we've got about 3 years on this deck list now.
It has come a long way.
He has grown quite a bit. He started at a $50 deck, and he is now sitting at roughly, what, $1,200 now? Something around there?
1,000 plus based on the
1,000
conditions.
plus. 1,000 plus.
I can confidently say $1,000 plus, and yeah, this deck has definitely grown with us. It has been an interesting deck. I love it. I love seeing it. I love dying to it. I love denying it things.
Yep.
It's a fun list. And it's really fun to show that one of the most beloved archetypes in all of Magic, that is Burn, can truly be a deck in this format.
Exactly. I mean, you're not casting lightning bolts, but like...
We don't need a bolt. We have Norin the Wary.
Yeah, it takes a few conceits, but like, those are valid conceits.
Speaking of beloved archetypes that people don't get to play a lot in Commander, my next deck is one of those decks. And then I'm going to go ahead and tell you how she's not one of those decks.
Let's hear it.
Probably one of my favorite decks of all time. As you will probably learn if you listen to this, I adore Lorwyn as almost like a religion. And Una, Queen of the Fae, is my messiah. I adore her card. I love everything she does. And again, blue-black is the bee's knees to me. And she gets to essentially rip your opponent's hand apart. And not hand, sorry, deck. Sorry, I'm an 8-rack player too. I'm so used to attacking hands. That's the modern in me. So, one of the most common plays I was referring to, of course, we haven't realized at this point, is Mill.
Yep.
Players love Mill. They love Mill in every single format they can play it in, every strategy they can play it in. Here's the thing, Mill doesn't really work in Commander.
Nope, not unless it's like combo Mill.
We're going to show you how it can possibly work, and I promise it will not involve Phenac.
Nope, no Phoenix. You're not going to be playing... You're not playing Glimpse the Unthinkables here. You're not playing Mind Sculpts.
No, we're taking hands away. We are not losing the Primeval Titans, and they are not Thassa's Oracling us.
Nope.
Let me go ahead and just break down Una as a card. Una, Queen of the Fae, cost 3 and triple hybrid Dimir. She is a legendary creature, and her creature type is Fairy Wizard. 2 ironically very relevant types. Not in her deck, but just to throw that out there.
Yep.
And just like Sharoom, this might be a theme for me. She's a 5/5 flyer.
Yep.
And she has the wonderful effect for Dimir and X. You can choose a color. Then target opponent exiles the top X cards of their library. That's pretty much all we care about.
Yep.
Now, while I say that, the secondary effect is for each card of the chosen color that was exiled this way, you put a 1/1 blue and black Fairy Rogue token with flying onto the battlefield.
Yep.
That is more relevant than you think when you are trying to stop some very random deck swinging at you. I'll let you know right now, there have been games that have been solved where I have had these fairies stop a Gitrog from killing me.
This is an interesting one to talk about because this is a deck we've actually both played pretty extensively.
Absolutely.
We picked this up around the same time. You definitely stuck with it longer than I did, but this is a deck we both have some experience on.
She is a beautiful card. She's a beautiful deck.
Very nice looking.
The key to this whole mill thing, Una is not mill.
No.
And we're going to break that down by the fact that she is not mill by definition. Una's effect is exiling the top X cards of your opponent's deck.
Yep.
So, we are not milling them. If Una's effect said just put them into the graveyard, things like, honestly, they're rather fringe, but they are played, the Titans.
Yeah, old Titans are going to be, really useful here.
I have seen Ulamogs stop mill decks.
Yep.
Because you don't beat them.
I mean, you're opening up your opponent to, Yawgmoth's willing you here.
Also, Flashback is a killer.
Yeah, Flashback.
I've had a Pass in Flames cast.
Yep. As of late, you've got Underworld Breach, stuff like that really opens you up to get blown out should this have been a mill.
I promise you will find the more you listen that the graveyard is my home in Magic. And I promise you, milling me for 80 is not going to scare me.
No.
So, this Exile X basically means that if Una is hitting you, and she is taking away your deck, the win's pretty much assured. Thankfully, one thing I want to talk about in the more recent developments of Magic meta, the printing of Thassa's Oracle, along with things like Labman, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Oracle's ETB effect was scary for us because of the card Flash. Now, this sounds really insane, but the ability to flash in Thassa's Oracle with the card Flash is thankfully banned at this point.
Just recently.
To diversify the meta, yes.
Yep.
The one answer to Una that I can think of in the meta is gone. Now, of course, your opponent can most likely trick bind you.
Yeah.
But the beauty of Una is that most of her infinite mana combos, you can just proceed to continue on your opponent's upkeep.
Right. Yeah, they're going to pass the turn or you'll bypass that split second. You'll still have infinite mana. And that is the idea with this deck. You do want to be generating infinite mana. You can activate that effect for value. Not great.
Yeah, one of the biggest things you'll hear about Una in the negative is her mana cost, and I don't really agree with that because I don't think I'm ever casting my 6-drop 5/5 flyer that's essentially a vanilla in Commander unless I've created her infinite mana. And in which case, you're probably not, if you didn't stop my infinite mana, you're probably not stopping Una.
I mean, what do you compare this to? This is like Godo, right? You're casting this to kill them.
I would say this is more comparable, not in actual power of the card, but her impact once you have gone off, to me, is almost identical to Thrasios.
Yeah, Thrasios.
She is being cast and she is winning the game. If Una is being cast successfully behind her correct combo, I do not know how you can feasibly beat her.
Right.
I don't even think there's enough static effects to just kill her. I don't think there's enough. I mean, you can Micah Sync Lattice and then put down a Collector Oof.
Sure.
It's horribly irrational things. The only thing holding back my beloved Queen of the Fae is, honestly, she really wishes she was Sultire Grixis.
Yeah.
But you know what? Dimir is a great place to be right now because of Demonic Consultation, Thassa's Oracle.
Yep. Arguably the best combo in the meta right now.
Yeah, Oracle might have hurt her with Flash. Turns out she's winning with Oracle a lot.
Yeah, she is probably just going to kill you with Oracle.
So, she has a lot of avenues, and I love the deck, but we will definitely go into her more in a later time, trust me.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and discuss your next deck, because this is another one of my personal favorites that you play.
Okay, so this deck for me outdates Perforos by about a year, so I guess that would mean this deck's almost 4 years old now for me. Yeah, about 4 years now.
Older than that, 2015.
Yeah, so about 5 years now. So Yisan the Wanderer Bard is who we're talking about today. Yeah, because he came out in 2014, M15. Yeah. So, Yisan the Wanderer Bard, 2 and a green, legendary creature, human rogue. For 2 and a green, you tap him and put a verse counter on him. Search your library for a creature card with CMC equal to the number of verse counters on Yisan. Put it directly into play. So, right off the bat, you can probably tell why this is a very good card. Yisan is a tutor on a stick.
Playing blue and green. You're
playing a blue deck, but it's mono green. Now, this is an actual CDH deck, and I know that you might be thinking, a mono green creature deck probably doesn't have the survivability to beat something like, Thrasios Tymna, Thrasios Vile Smasher, Kess Dissident Mage. We come prepared for that. Yisan is a creature deck first, close second a hard stacks deck. Yisan is playing cards like Tanglewire, Sphere of Resistance, Collector Oof, Null Rod. Yeah, it's Yisan is trying to slow down those decks and borderline prey on them. Like a match we had just tonight, for instance, Collector Oof against Sharum.
Yeah, my beloved Sharum list could not survive. Combine that with the ability to get any of those wonderful Wasteland or Stripmine guards.
Yep.
Turns out it's really hard to cast my Wrath of Gods when my dual lands are being hit and my artifacts are turned off.
Yep. See, Yisan is a deck that it would seem really simple to play, but in fact, you've got a lot juggling at the same time. Because, there's decks where you're going to want to be strip locking them to deny colors. You're going to want to cast, like, Collector Roofs to deny their artifacts.
Or do them both.
Ideally both.
Just do them both.
Now, how are you killing them with this? So, Yisan has some magic numbers where on certain verse counters, it's not very debatable what they're finding. So, like, verse counter 1, you're probably finding Quirion Ranger. You want to untap that Yisan. Verse 2 is the most versatile slot, I'd say. If you're just getting, like, beat by mana rocks already, you probably go get that Collector Roof. If you're fighting something like, say, Sidisi, you probably want that Scavenging Ooze. You want to eat the Graveyard. Otherwise, probably go get that Priest of Titania. Like, we're trying to make a lot of mana really fast. Ideally, we're killing them on 8 verse counters at the latest. Something like 3, we're probably getting, like, either the new Hyrax Tower Scout to free untap. Might be getting Eternal Witness. If you're trying to set up that Wasteland lock, you might want the Romanap Excavator. 4, you're getting Karametra's Acolyte. Tap
Rex
for your
Sage is on
Rex
3 as
Sage.
well.
Rex Sage is also a very good target on 3. Manglehorn. 4, you're looking at, like, Thought-Knot Seer to Thought-Seize them. You're looking at, like, Karametra's Acolyte. A lot of infinite mana potential there. Temur Sabertooth, combo pieces. Your first undebatable number comes on 5. You're getting Seedborn Muse. If you have stuck Seedborn Muse, it's pretty likely that your opponents are not winning that game. Seedborn Muse is the good, like, telegraph that the game is over, because you're going to start activating Yisan on their turns. You're going to start having responses on their turns more efficiently. So I'd say 5, if you have hit that Muse, there's a good chance your opponents just aren't doing it. From there, you're getting, like, Bane of Progress, Regal Force. You're closing out with Craterhoof Behemoth.
I'm trying to think of what stops that. I mean, we got things like a Psych Rift, and we got... But here's the beauty. I can name off all these cards. It's the speed at which Yisan is doing these things, because he is also enabling his mana by enabling his combo.
Exactly. I mean, like, this is a Gaia's Cradle deck. Like, we're probably killing you on 8 verse counters by what? Like, turn 4? Turn 5?
Yisan is a turn 2 commander thanks to the power of Mana Crypt.
Yep. That's the big thing of this deck. If you can't cast Yisan on 2, you're not playing it right.
This is one of those decks I would definitely say your budget, while not backbreaking, like many people would believe, because they hear Cradle and Crypt and they have a small heart attack.
Right.
That's probably the most of your expenses.
Yeah, Cradle, Crypt.
And then, of course, like Hoof.
Yeah, Hoof is getting up there these days. Hoof's like $50 nowadays.
But what's crazy is, and this is part of what we're going to be getting into a lot about decks, you'll play this Cradle in every list. And more specifically, you'll play this Mana Crypt in every list.
Yep.
You'll play Craterhoof in almost every green list that's utilizing creatures like this.
Yep.
And I think he's one of those decks that he is the best deck you can build if you have the money to splurge, quote unquote.
Right.
But also can't afford $1,500, but you have $1,000.
Yeah.
Which sounds crazy, but here's the thing. If you're really going to get into roll the CDH, we'll get you covered on the lower amounts. But if you just got $1,000 to spend on a deck, Yisan's one of the best you can make.
Yeah. I would say Yisan starts getting insane at about probably $800. At that, you have not skimped on a single creature. Your mana base is looking very nice.
It's looking similar to my Sharoom list, where the last thing we're missing is like fetch lands and like a few flex cards.
Your artifact base looks very nice. At $800, you've probably already got Mana Crypt, probably got Chrome Mox. Like, you've probably skimped on Mox Diamond.
Because Mox plus Crypt is 800 in Sharoom.
Yeah.
Now that's straight up almost the same thing.
Yeah.
Except I'll say this deck is much more powerful at that mana level.
Right. Like, you're near the end of your budget. You're trying to pick up like Mox Diamond. You're trying to pick up Cradle. You're trying to pick up your fetches.
Grim Monolith.
No, actually.
Really?
Too slow.
I thought he played it.
No, too slow.
Just because 2 mana's too slow?
2 mana's too slow.
Oh, no, I thought that. I have Assault Monolith too slow all day, every day.
Yep. Mana Vault also not good enough for this deck.
See, I was talking to you say that one either.
Yeah, Mana Vault is a dark ritual, basically.
He doesn't care about that. Not as much as you'd think.
Yeah.
If it was an actual colored mana, he'd care about it.
I'd say if you're building this deck on a budget, Mana Vault is probably one of your better rocks, but you quickly phase it out. Just a ritual type effect isn't great in this deck. You want to be able to repeat the mana you're spending on it.
Emerald Medallion?
I wouldn't hate it.
For budget decks?
Yeah, on a lower budget, Emerald Medallion's probably really nice in this deck. Yeah, that's a good turn 3, son.
It just gives me Baral vibes for creatures.
We'll talk about Baral later.
Yes, we shall, actually.
All right, what you got next?
So my next, this is going to be Of course, the Una was also Reshar CDH decks.
Yep.
This is my favorite card of all time in Magic, and my absolute favorite commander. It is Sidisi, the Brood Tyrant. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say, everyone gets shocked. The amount of hate I see for Sidisi, not even hate, just misunderstanding about this card.
It's misconception.
Is so shocking. I see people talk about the tier list, and I always wonder, like, why is she here? Why is she 1.5? Why is she in the same tier as Tassiger? Well, I'm not going to discuss that today because I don't have 5 hours to explain to you how she works.
We'll link the subreddit.
I shall link the Reddits. But I will go ahead and say she is an astronomical combo deck. I'm not going to call her Thrasios Timna. I'm not going to call her, like, Kess Double Consultation. But you will be hard-pressed to find a deck that refuses to let Hermit Druid die. Like, I know you've probably heard, especially when you first get in the meta, you probably hear cards like Hermit Druid's dead, blah, blah, blah. It is, except for Sidisi.
Yeah.
Brood Tyrant's going to cast her Hermit Druid, and another thing is she's one of those decks where it's like, everything gets countered in Commander. So if you want to see a card pillow fort over a card...
Oh, yeah.
Because if that Hermit Druid resolves, there's a good chance you're going to die to it.
So... Brood Tyrant is undebatably pretty underwhelming to look at.
I think she is the weakest 1.5 and above commander as a card.
Yeah. So, like, what does she do?
She costs, well, let's just go ahead and discuss her mana cost first. She is Sultai in 1, which to me is a great cost for a 3-color commander.
4 mana is great for a tri-color commander.
She's a Naga Shaman, again, not super relevant.
Not super.
But she has this effect where when she enters the battlefield or attacks, she puts the top 3 cards of your deck into the graveyard. That sounds really underwhelming for Mill, but it does help generate some advantage. But then here's the effect of hers that really helps push her over the limit, and you won't understand why until we explain it most likely. And it's whenever one or more creature cards is put into your graveyard from your library, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield. Now again, that sounds really underwhelming, because let's look at a card like Cleopatra, the Zero Poisons.
Yeah.
One reason she's so crapped on all the time is because she makes 1 snake for 30 tokens, or 1 snake for 1 token.
Right.
So if we're milling our whole deck, how is 1 zombie relevant?
Right.
Well, the beautiful thing about Sidisi is the card called Dread Return. You are hard-pressed to find a deck that will cast a Dread Return as powerfully because you play Sidisi, you got your Hermit Druid. Hermit Druid will enable the creature token. Also, you're maybe playing Narcomoeba if you need those extra creature drops.
I can see
What's
it.
cool about that is that token Sidisi makes is what always guarantees your Dread Return,
Yep.
which then leads to Necrotic Goose. Now, sadly, we will be talking about Sidisi in another episode, I guarantee it.
Oh, most
But
definitely.
I will not be discussing Necrotic Goose tonight because that would be an episode. It is one of the craziest cards ever. Just know that its general effect is that it copies all the effects of everything in your graveyard. It is like Mimeoplasm if he could take everything.
Yep.
It is a super fun deck. It's super fast. She has the resilience of Sultai. That's another thing I think people realize. They crap on her, but the thing they realize is she's in Sultai. And I'll go ahead and say that I will argue Sultai is the strongest combination in Commander because when you look at decks like Thrasios and Timna, it is Sultai featured in white.
Yep, I think broad stroke Sultai is probably the best thing we have right now. There are specific cards that aren't Sultai that I
Zur
think...
and Kess.
Zur and Kess, very strong, not Sultai, but, also undisputably probably some of the best commanders in the game.
Also, I will say, up until maybe 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
she was also our best food chain commander in Sultai.
Oh, yeah.
But I will not claim she's been outclassed yet until I can fundamentally check out these wonderful new partners.
Right.
But I'm excited to see the Whale Wolf pull some weight.
Whale Wolf.
He is a whale wolf. That's
He
what
is
he
a
is.
whale wolf.
He is a whale wolf, and I could not be happier. But anyway, I think it's enough about Sidisi, because in the end, it's not hard to explain. Graveyard shenanigans.
Yeah, no, like Sultai, CDH.
Entomb is her vampiric tutor.
Yeah. Do you like Life from the Loam?
Do you like Dredge?
Yeah.
We could be friends. If you like Dredge, I will be your friend. If you want a free Golgari Crave Troll, we can start a petition. I'll help you. But before we get onto that whole thing, let's go ahead and move on to the next deck.
All right.
Before this turns into a Please Free Dredge podcast.
All right, I got something for you here.
Faithless Looting Ban was unfair.
Also primetime. Free my boy. Okay. Now, I have some questions. Do you like Yawgmoth's Will?
Yes.
Okay. Do you like Doomsday?
Absolutely.
Do you like High Tide?
Depends on my mood that day.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, let's talk about this great little Grixis granny called Kess Dissident Mage.
Absolutely love her.
So, Kess Dissident Mage.
Another deck we both played. Sorry to cut you off. That's another deck we both played.
have both played this deck.
I have killed with a Grape Shot in this deck. You can prove points with this card.
Admittedly, I've not played this deck in paper since 2018. My opinions are a bit outdated, but I still understand how this works. So, Kess Dissident Mage, 1 in Grixis, legendary creature, human wizard, the thickest granny on all of Alara.
Yeah, her age confuses me, but live your best life.
Yes.
She looks old in the face, but that doesn't stop her from being great. Ashdaya Ballard.
Old in the face, young in the waist. Anyway, she is a flyer. During each of your turns, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. If a card cast this way would be put into graveyard, exile it instead. So it's kind of like flashback on your turn.
It is literally pseudo flashback.
Yeah.
It is the exact same text for how the spell works as is like on mission briefing.
Yep.
It is flashback, 100% explained without flashback.
Exactly. Now, right off the bat, why is she so good right now? What's the best combo in the format currently?
In my honest opinion, and I think will be a generally accepted one, I think it's pretty hard to deny that Consultation Oracle is not the best combo. And I know for a fact he will gladly explain to you why she might be the best consultation list.
It's really simple, too. Kess gets to cast that consultation twice.
She cast it once, declares Oracle.
She's going to declare Oracle the first time. She's going to go find that Thassa's Oracle. Then she's going to flash it back and, I don't know, Borborygmos?
I'd say Oracle again.
Yeah, you name something not in your deck. You name... what's the fun... Brushwag. You name Brushwag on Demonic Consultation.
Are unset cards legal targets?
They are. They are card names.
Then I'm going to declare Earl of Squirrel.
Earl of Squirrel, best squirrel.
Earl of Squirrel is the best consultation target. Fight me.
Now, I say that my opinions on this deck might be outdated. What was this deck in 2017, 2018? This was...
some kind of hodgepodge, Yawgmoth's Will, Doomsday Storm, Bolas' Citadel, Aetherflux.
Not Bolas' Citadel.
That was 2019.
Yeah. The name we had for the deck was Doomtide.
She's a lot of things.
Yeah, she was going to Doomsday you, and if that didn't go well, she was going to High Tide you to death.
Because her effect facilitates this all.
It facilitates it. It's like she is going to cast that High Tide, she's going to float it all into like Candelabra of Tawnos, she's going to flash back the High Tide, she's going to like Blue Sun Zenith herself for Exaxes almost.
Today she will Underworld Breach you.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Today she's got Underworld Breach.
Neither of us have played the deck in the last year and a half, 2 years, but I can tell you, I understand Underworld Breach.
No. Now, why have we not played this deck?
Honestly, I haven't played it because I'm too busy trying to play other things in my life, and because I love Una more. I don't know his excuse. Mine's just because I love Una more, and because the DC's expensive.
My excuse for Kess is similar. This is not a cheap deck. This is not a deck you skimp on.
She is not a Yisan. She is not a Sharoom.
No.
She is not. Sidisi's the same way, honestly.
Yeah.
So like this is a theme to realize with the highest power decks, except for maybe Yisan. More points for Yisan.
Yeah.
You can't build her for cheap. Now, I'm not saying you can't build her for cheap because again, I have 500 Stormstone with Grape Shot with this deck before using like a Quicken.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to crap on her because she is powerful on any. She is one of those cards that she will always be strong on any level.
Right. Should you want to dominate a CDH table, you're not skimping that Yawgmoth's Will. You're not skimping those Black Tutors. You're not skimping those expensive
She will
counter
tell
spells.
Thrasios Timna why they are not tier 0 anymore.
She will fact check Thrasios and Timna very quickly. If she doesn't hit that Oracle consultation, she's always got Isochron Scepter loops to kill you with. She's going to find that Aetherflux very easily.
That big issue with talking about highest level commander that a lot of people suffer with is the whole I want to run 4,000 combos in my list, which I hate to admit, it's kind of where you have to start with lower level CDH because let's be honest, if you're not able to afford all the best tutors, like a list that I'll talk about probably in a much later time will be my Alesha list. We run Density, but also Kiki Jiki is a gift from the gods. He is also the best commander in a deck where he is not the commander. But I think that Kess is one of those decks where she can run that density because she's going to... All the spells you need to increase your consistency are essentially being double cast. And what's another thing good about Kess is that her deck is so streamlined. It's kind of like... I hate to say this because this is a whole discussion in itself. A slower Kess list that can't cast all of its spells twice is just a Jaleva list. Getting advantage in a different outlet. Now, before anyone says anything, I'm not saying Jaleva's worse. That is a whole topic on itself. I am a Jaleva fan. Do not come for me, Jaleva stans.
Come for him, he's wrong.
But what I'm trying to say is, when you look at it that way, Kess doesn't stop.
No.
She doesn't stop. She keeps going.
She never turns off.
If she's not on the board, she is the most Grixis good stuff deck that cares about its commander, and also could totally let her be exiled for the game.
I hate to say it because I like Yisan so much. A deck as hardcore as Kess is kind of a nightmare for Yisan.
She has access to so much removal. I like to say that outside of specific cards like Zur, I think Grixis is the next strongest color combination. I mean, look at one of the other better decks. I hate to keep bringing him up because, I mean, we have to admit he's still there.
Yep.
Thrasios Vile Smasher, Grixis plus green.
Yep.
Like, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's like Jund plus, I don't know.
No, I'd say you're right on Thrasios Vile Smasher.
The deck list look Grixis. They look like the Atarka Red of Grixis.
Yeah. It's like those old Jeskai Black lists from, like, Origin Standard.
That is it is Grixis green.
Yep.
That is what it is.
Yeah, I like that. Grixis green.
It is a powerful combination. It is resilient. It has tutors. I still think Esper wins in the tutor combination. But then again, no one knows anything about this. Kess doesn't care.
No, not really.
Because Kess is going to demonic tutor twice.
Yeah, I mean, she's demonic tutoring twice.
She'll enlighten tutor twice. She'll vampiric tutor twice.
She's not going to enlighten tutor twice.
Oh, that's why I say enlighten tutor. I'm sorry, I love Esper.
Mystical tutor.
That one!
Yeah, that
Gamble, that's what I was thinking of. What's the red thing she has?
Oh, why is Kess so good too? She gets to abuse heavily cards like Entomb.
Gamble does not bother her.
No,
Gamble is a second copy of Entomb or demonic tutor for 1 mana.
Gamble is, at best, the greatest demonic tutor ever printed in her deck, and at worst is a second copy of Entomb.
It is an equally powerful Entomb.
Yeah. And, like, for a deck that plays with its graveyard so efficiently...
Past in Flames.
Past in Flames. Like, Entomb is just another vampiric tutor in this deck.
I mean, is Past in Flames phased out for Underworld Breach?
Past in Flames was phased out in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I won't say that. Because there are budget lists for her. There are $1,000 lists.
That is fair. Those
they like their Past in Flames.
Those $1,000 Kess lists do live and die by
I
that
guarantee you
Past in
a 2017 Kess list could still be played today.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, so could a 2007 Zur list. That's a whole other conversation.
What new have we gotten? We've gotten, like, Drown in the Lock,
Underworld
Oracle,
Breach.
Underworld Breach. Like, outside of that, there's
Underworld
not
Breach.
Yeah. Prismatic Vista.
Underworld Breach. Force of Negation.
Force of Negation. Fierce Guardianship as of, like, 5 days ago.
That card is a conversation on itself, because I have been playing with it and testing it and goldfishing with it like a monster.
Yep.
You know what? That's a topic for another day.
That's another discussion, I think.
So, we'll talk about some more casual decks, because, of course, we're not strictly these CDH and the high-power pub stoppers that people think that
The
players
monsters that certain people would tell you that the CDH community is.
Because I will tell you, the few times that I have what is considered quote-unquote pub stomping, I have declared the power level of my deck.
Oh, yeah.
I've also beaten Chainveil with Ishkana.
Exactly.
So, I think that there's this whole... You know what? That'll be a topic for later.
Yeah.
That is a topic for later that will be heavily discussed because we need some healthy, open conversation in the command. Just whole field.
What's just like the most chill fun deck you've ever seen me play?
The most chill fun deck. Chill? Honestly? Actually, yeah. I'm a massive fan of the old Olivia Voldaren list.
Yeah, okay.
And Ramirez Di Pietro. But this Olivia list was way more real and way more... Well, Ramirez Di Pietro was Cabin Harpy, but that's a whole other story for another day. Back to Olivia.
Olivia Voldaren. If you want to get the TLDR in this list, watch the Tolarian Community College Olivia Voldaren list from 2017, 2018.
She is the most powerful mono-black commander you will ever see that plays red spells.
Yes, she is a Rakdos commander. That deck is mono-black big stuff. You're trying to resolve painful quandaries, Shieldrids, Vile Smashers, like...
I will say I have not played Olivia, but I played Drana.
Yep.
Fun thing is they both happen to be vampires.
The decks play very similarly,
But
too.
I don't care about that. I care about the fact that we kill things.
Yep.
Olivia wears a Basilisk collar really well.
She wears Basilisk collar very well. She wears Blade of the Blood Chief very
It is
well.
her favorite drip.
Yep. She has drip.
Favorite.
She has swag and she has drip, and it's pointy. Decks like this, you're making a lot of mana. You're trying to kill them with Exsanguinate.
Honestly, she is an Exsanguinate deck. She is a Sanguine Mon Exquisite Blood deck.
Sanguine Mon Explicit Blood.
She is a Bolas' Citadel U2 Hell
Nowadays,
list.
yes. She will eat you alive with that Bolas' Citadel.
Well, I say that because I played that in Drana.
Well, yes.
That's another thing. Olivia hasn't been played by us in so long, but I played Drana in the last 8 months,
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now that if I could play cards like Gamble and like Rolling Earthquake, or even just like Pyroclasm,
Rakdos Charm terminates Dreadbores.
we would love a Terminate.
Yep.
We'd love a Terminate. We would love a Past in Flames.
Love Past in Flames. I mean,
It's just a fun list. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's powerful. Also, ironically, her steal creature effect is not irrelevant.
it comes up a lot.
You want instant speed steal someone's Thrasios? It is hilarious.
That's a weird way to Mimnarch somebody, but yeah, you can do it.
We're not even Mimnarch. We're straight up like Agent of Treachery people.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure the effect is permanent, is it not?
Yes.
Read me Olivia.
All right, let's pull her up right
Let's
quick.
go ahead and just read Olivia verbatim. Because let's go ahead and... I think we can discuss her better as a card if we directly just read what she does verbatim. I would read the copy I have in person, but she is currently in German.
Okay. Olivia Voldaren, 2 in Rakdos, legendary creature, vampire, flying. For 1 and a red, Olivia Voldaren deals 1 damage to another target creature. That creature becomes a vampire in addition to its other types. Put a 1/1 counter on Olivia Voldaren.
She's also a 3/3 flyer for 4.
She is also
that
a
gets bigger.
3/3 fire for 4. And for 3 black, gain control of target vampire for as long as you control Olivia Voldaren. Now, what are we
Well, it's
doing?
not
with this?
permanent.
It's not.
Well, yeah.
We're spending 6 mana to gain control of a creature.
We are paying 6 mana to instant speed take control of a creature.
Yes. Now, what if we didn't want to use it for that? We talked about Basilisk Collar earlier.
She just kills things.
Yeah, Death Touch is just damage. So if you put Basilisk Collar on Olivia, that's 2 mana snipe a creature.
Essentially, yeah.
No.
It is straight up 2 mana sniper creature.
Yep.
Also, let's just be real. Screw Basilisk Collar. You can just kill an Elvish Mystic with that.
That just kills Elvish
That
Mystic.
just kills Doctide Extortionist. That
Yep.
just kills Titania. Priest of Titania.
Yep.
Specify Priest of Titania.
Yes. Not actual
The
Titania.
better Titania. I love Titania, but better Titania.
Yes. That's... yes.
Also, this beautiful thing called that she can do it multiple times.
Yeah, that's not once per turn.
Now, 4 mana for 2 damage is kind of getting worse. But let's just be honest. She is instant speed removal in the command zone.
Yep.
And let's just look at some top tier decks. What happens to a Zerlist if Zur is stolen before they get to swing with him?
It's not great.
Like, I think Olivia, let's use the 1 through 7 thing earlier. I think high power Olivia is that 6.57. I think she is at the top or high echelons of high power, but not on the borderline CEDH.
As she was a few years ago, 5.9.
I think she's just gone down a bit just because, but I mean, you know what's funny?
I'd say,
Underworld Breach.
I would say today she's better, I'd say, because she's got Bolas' Citadel now. She's got more duels to play with. She's got more fetches to play with. She's got, I mean, she always had Rolling Earthquake, but, you still have your Underworld Breaches now. Like, she has new things to play with. I mean, what's that demon from M20, the Villas Broker of Blood?
Screw that. We have Razaketh.
We have Razaketh.
We have Demonic Tutor for 2 life.
I mean, we got Massacre Girl.
Massacre Girl is okay, Massacre Girl. Can we have a talk about Massacre Girl?
Massacre Girl. I was blown out by that card just the other day.
I love that card. I think she's an amazing tutor target. And as someone that has just a massive unnecessary love for the graveyard, it is so fun. If you play a deck with Shieldred in it, you can't afford Massacre Worm. First off, Massacre Girl kills more stuff than Massacre Worm.
Yep.
Not hitting people, but get yourself a Massacre Girl. She is wonderful. She is a queen of budget. She's also a really fun mono black control list.
Yep. She is a legendary.
I'm going to write a $100 list for her.
I'm down for it.
I'm going to write a $100 Massacre Girl list. It's going to feature her and Massacre Worm. They'll be half the budget.
That's a lot about Olivia. Who do you have?
Oh, my deck. Fun. Okay, so my favorite deck is the one mentioned earlier. This is the deck that tested against Perforos a lot. It is Goreclaw, Terror of Calcima. Now, this deck was built because I liked Yisan. I didn't want to build Yisan, but I wanted to play blue.
Yep.
There's no blue creatures that tutor things, and Gaeva's so old and overdone. I wanted a creature that could help me get creatures out faster to have some fun with. And this was before the release of this set. But then they spoiled Goreclaw for M19.
Yep.
And I was so happy because I'm a lore junkie.
Yep.
She's part of the lore. It's amazing. She is a 4 mana legendary bear. She is a 4/3. And she has creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater. Cost 2 generic mana less to cast. And whenever she attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and trample until end of turn. And that does include her. So essentially, she is a 4 mana 4/3 that is a conditional 5/4 every turn of combat, which she loves to get into.
Yep.
And she plays a lot of cards for cheap.
I mean, yeah, just like off the top of my head, she's casting Ronus for 2.
1. Ronus the
right.
Indomitable is a 1-drop.
Yep.
Pelucranos is a 2-drop.
Yep.
Nylea is a 2-drop.
Yep.
Questing Beast is a 2-drop.
Yep.
Prowling Serpapod is a 2-drop.
Yep.
What is his name? Wandering Swordtooth.
Oh, Wayward Swordtooth.
Wayward Swordtooth.
Yes,
Thank you.
that is also a 1-drop.
I have not played this list in like a year. She has been being worked on. There will be a list provided for her, most likely.
Oh, yeah.
The amount of things she gets for free. And here's the thing. You think, well, if you play all these creatures, if Goreclaw dies, they're bad. Here's the thing. We play an elf package.
This is the same thing as, like, Yisan.
We have the mana.
Yeah, it's like, this is a Gaia's Cradle deck. You're fine.
This is a Gaia's Cradle deck. Now, I will admit, this will require some testing. I think New Nylea might be the correct commander for this deck because she's hard advantage.
That was a question I had for you. How does New Nylea stack up to Goreclaw?
She is fantastic in the 99. Here's the trade-off. New Nylea is conditionally a creature,
Yep.
which Goreclaw punching someone to death is relevant.
Yep.
Nylea, Devotion's not hard. Come on, Chirometric Acolyte is arguably our best mana dork in this list. Nykthos is like a better Gaia's Cradle half the time.
Nykthos is amazing in this deck.
You want to play a Devotion deck in Commander, like a literal deck that is Devotion themed? Yep. You play a lot of colored symbols because you're not paying the colorless ones in this list.
No. Like, an aspect of this deck that I thought was cool is you're playing subpar versions of cards because with Goreclaw, they're not subpar.
This deck was built on like the same $50 budget Purpose was originally. Just cards I had that just in my box. Conclave Naturalist is a 4/4.
5 mana Rexage.
It is a 3 mana. It is Rexage and Goreclaw.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying that's the most optimal? Of course not. The deck has come a long way power-wise.
Yeah.
But she is so fun, and I just absolutely adore the way she plays.
No, this is one of those decks that's so cool to just look at and watch do its thing.
It looks so terrible on paper till you realize your opponent turn 2 or 3 cast Goreclaw early.
Yeah.
And then turn 4 throws a Ronus, a God Eternal Ronus, and like a Pelucranos at you.
Right. Like, this is really cool to look at.
She's... How do I word this? She is a deck that is going to play a lot of creatures that are literally impossible to play when they're being played.
Yep.
She is a deck that takes advantage of all those wonderful draw spells that green have that are based on power. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of these just very random when a creature of 3 or more or 4 or more enters the battlefield.
You've got your Colossal Majesties.
Goreclaw triggers that like it is her job.
Yep.
Goreclaw turns her creatures into... She turns those into, like, literal enchantresses.
Yeah.
It is insane.
You're looking at Colossal Majesties. You're looking at Shamanic Revelations. Like, you're doing good off of those,
You're
too.
doing really good. Also, her secondary effect, the trample +1/+1. Mm-hmm. That is shockingly relevant.
Yeah.
Looking back to the old days of Purpose versus Goreclaw, a lot of games came down to, is Goreclaw going to hit you 4-5 times, or am I going to die to shocks? Today, I think the matchup is super different.
Yeah.
But I'd like to say that if you want a deck that is what many people would call like the most Timmy deck you could play,
Oh, yeah.
I think on that same, you know how we said Olivia's like a 6 at her max? I think Goreclaw's a solid 6.
Yeah.
You can play her on the lower end of a high power group, or the much higher end of like a medium to normal power group. And I think that with cards like Nylea,
Yeah.
also, she's a wonderful stepping stone towards Yisan.
She is also a wonderful
That elf
stepson.
package, all those tutors you're playing, that
Yep.
Crater Hoof you're
Yep.
playing,
Hopefully that Gaia's Cradle you bought.
that Chirometric Acolyte.
Yep. It's all
You know what
going
those
over.
are all going in.
Those are all porting right over. You're probably playing a bunch of those tutors, too.
Also, if you just feel also, again, this sounds crazy when you look at the cards she plays. You know that the history of Kamigawa, what is his name? Dosen? History of Kamigawa?
Dozan. Oh, that's Dozan the Falling Leaf.
The one that draws for legendaries.
Reiki?
There is a green creature from the Kamigawa block that draws whenever a legend ETBs, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, is that Imawari, the Open Fist?
No, he makes one ETB.
He gets the ETB.
I'll provide a link to the card in the description below.
Yes.
When I find it out, all I know is that the amount of cards you can play, because Goreclaw is almost like a historic deck that is green. There will be a deck list provided below. It will be the list that I am currently building.
Yep.
It is the revamped Goreclaw Part 2, the Electric Trample Boogaloo. It'll be fun. It'll be wonderful. I think it'll be probably the cheapest deck we've listed off tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so.
I think she's the cheapest, most affordable, and leads into the most efficient CDH list available.
Probably the most forgiving for mistakes, too.
Yes. Because when in doubt, swing the bear. She's good at it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, she is going to make commander damage happen very quickly. All right, well, I like that.
Yeah, this is a fun group of decks.
Yeah.
I kind of want to rebuild Sadisi again in her full power.
I wouldn't mind updating Kess for 2020.
God, I miss Goreclaw.
I'm ready to have that game again.
But anyway, let's go ahead and discuss some things. Now we kind of introduced ourselves. We hope y'all enjoyed our little discussions about the decks that we love.
Right.
The reason we did that was because when we were talking about setting all this up, we felt that the best way to describe who you are to a group of commander players is what commanders do you play?
Yeah.
Because I know that there are many people that I know in my life. When I first met Brandon, I probably knew him more for the deck he played, not because it was like, that deck's so memorable. But it's just really hard to forget when this guy likes High Tide.
Yeah.
This guy really likes High Tide. You talk to me for an hour, you can probably say, the guy that likes Dredge and Nefarious Printed is probably pre-ordering the set. Probably me.
Yeah.
You can almost identify me at our locals based on my love for Sadisi and fairies.
Yeah. I mean, every time sets come out, I have friends ask me, it's like, so any new Perforos includes?
If there is a card that could be utilized in the graveyard,
Yep.
I am probably discussing it with someone, most likely Brandon.
Yeah, probably.
I'm finding a way to get it in the graveyard. I'm finding a way to entomb it. I'm finding a way to gamble it away.
I think, needless to say, me and you both freaked out over Underworld Breach most
Underworld
recently.
Breach was a gift from the gods. I don't even play red. Did you hear my list I left off? I don't even play red, and I enjoy Underworld Breach. I play it in Wart. I play it in the
Raid
Jaleva,
Mother.
who is an amazing commander that will be discussed in this podcast. She is definitely a forgotten gem of the commander community.
Most definitely.
You want to play Spell Slinger.
Play Spellslinger?
Play Spell Slinger. Sorry, Wart does things to you. Wart does things to you as a person that you won't understand. You'll feel like a modern Storm player and go, I'm playing Storm, but I'm not playing Serum Visions. Does that sound confusing? It is.
Good, it is to us too.
You ever made an infinite combo by looping Regrowth, Reap from the Past, and a Dockside Extortionist? Because I do it a lot. And it makes no sense. And it is efficient.
You never want to counter it because you just want to see how far it goes.
You ever Burning Inquiry like 6 times in a turn? For the whole table? You ever like reforge the soul for its miracle cost, conspire it, and then reverberate, and then conspire the reverberate?
Oh
It's
my
wonderful.
God.
The things you get to do are beyond hilarious.
It's very entertaining to look at.
No, got that Rona. Just kidding. No, not actually.
But yeah, so what are we doing in the future with this?
Honestly, the future is going to be more conversations like this, with kind of discussing things. But I think the more focus is going to be on what is Commander as a format, what makes CEDH, what exactly is high power, what is mid power, what is casual,
Right.
what exactly is Commander, and not from this point of view of like an influencer, the point of view of people that are constantly testing decks, playing in locals, from someone.
Exactly.
You will find me competing for money with Ishkanah the Graft Widow. At the same time, you'll see me playing Una, Queen of the Fae.
Right.
And I will put love into the same decks. And I hate that there are people that... Story time when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people treat me poorly because I bring a deck like Una.
Yeah.
And you told me a story about Una specifically. You got told to stop, or like, can you play a different deck?
Yep.
And here's the thing is that we don't hide what decks we play. It wasn't a secret. The person that yelled at me... I'm not going to say their name, but you know exactly who this is. They're playing Silas Renakiri Lineslinger, like... full-on, like, Brea combos.
Yep.
And I was getting yelled at for playing Una. And then I realized, I don't even know if it's truly a power level thing, because I think there's a lot of discussion that needs to go into Commander, but I like to think that I've been labeled a person that plays decks that'll pub stomp people, but I wasn't playing with weaker decks against me. I was playing with higher decks, and when I play with weaker decks, I have quote, I hate to say weaker, because I mean, I built Ishkanah to use her effect. I did. I built her with the intention to drain you all to death. And or assault formation you, which was never the plan, but it did occur.
I mean, to keep it just painfully brief, I think a lot of people get angry when you play a deck that just seems to have all the answers to what they're playing. Like, I get a lot of salt for Yisan sometimes, because it's like, you're just strip locking me. You're just staxing me out of the game.
He's probably the weakest CEDH deck.
Yisan is probably one of the weakest viable CDH commanders. But the reason he is still viable is because he can pick his targets well. It's like, if you know what you're doing with the deck, you can set your game up in such a way that you survive against those Kesses.
Sustainability.
Sustainability. Survivability.
He is arguably one of the grindiest decks.
Yeah. Yisan will grind that game out with you.
On turn 3.
On turn 3.
Because he's still going to kill you on 5.
Exactly.
He can present lethal while stalling the game.
Yep.
It's interesting.
It's like, should you be playing one of those, like, Triumph of the Hordes lists, for example? Like, you can present lethal quite quickly.
You mentioned Infect. That is almost a death sentence, depending on what different group you're talking to.
You're not wrong.
Which is one of the things I'd love to discuss. Why is it certain kills, like commander damage versus, like, Infect versus, like... Like, here's the thing. I have people that have freaked out over actual milling them to death with a deck that we'll most likely be discussing in the next episode, which brings me to one of our points.
Yep.
We're going to probably be discussing deck techs, because we're going to explore the world of... You know how I mentioned Wart is a long-lost commander?
Yeah.
There's commanders that I think deserve love that are completely viable that you could argue are fringe competitive viable. Like, let's just use the tapped out CDH list that's so commonly referred to by so many people. Those decks that are fringe competitive, I think that list could be bigger. I think the restrictions are kind of iffy, and I think there's a lot of commanders that have amazing growth.
Yeah. So
we're going to start presenting deck techs that also break this myth of value equals the only way to win in CDH.
Yeah, no, this is...
$1,000 Yisan is almost as strong as like $3,000 Kess just because of the cards in his deck.
Oh, yeah.
Now, am I saying that it's unfair that you have to play Kess at that level to equal Yisan? I mean, that's kind of the way the game is to some degree.
Yeah.
But at the same time, with the right amount of deck building and skill, we can show you not how to build a $500 list that'll beat $1,000 list, but we can show you a $1,000 list that is definitely a high power list that can totally give you all this. If you were to build probably 2 or 3 of my high powered lists I've created, let's just say like Grixis, Sultai, and then like my Mardu list, the amount of staples you have would be ungodly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get you one of each fetch land, your collection's ready to, you can suddenly turn those into like $2,000 list by combining a bunch of the cards around with like insert a Gaia's Cradle. Boom.
I mean, it's like, this is a good little segue to kind of spoil what our next episode coming up is. We're talking about kind of decks you can play that are good stepping stones into next decks. So what's the next one we have? We have talking about Ambassador Loquacious.
And Una, Queen of the Fae.
Yep.
Actual mill that can be used and in a way that's really interesting. And here's the thing. It won't be how you think, I promise.
No, not at all.
And then Una, probably self-explanatory.
Yeah, it's Una.
But you'll be surprised how many cards this $500 ambassador list can turn into an Una list.
Yep. This is what we did start with. We've started with giving ourselves a $500 budget. That's a very fair place to start for high power EDH into CEDH. And then stepping that up into some next budget tiers and eventually getting into the next commander.
And if possible, we also have cheaper list.
Yeah.
We have a $250 list that is the stepping stone to the $500 list.
Yep. Still perfectly viable.
Now, I will say we will not be providing like $250 or $500 list for the higher power commanders.
Right.
Because to me, at that honest point, if you're playing $250 Una,
yeah,
you can do some crazy things. I mean, you're pretty much limiting yourself to Isochron.
Yeah, you're locking yourself into Isochron.
And that's totally fair. Isochron, Deadeye Navigator, Peregrine Drake, that's about all you got.
Yeah.
Go for it. You do your life, you live your life, you enjoy it.
You're definitely not affording a Palinchron on that budget.
They're probably giving up Palinchron for that Isochron and stuff.
Probably
you're
in
not
that same
wrong for
budget
that.
tier.
You're not wrong for that.
Nope.
But we're going to show you some wonderful stepping stones, how they work, the way they work, what to do with them, and how to get there.
Yep.
And I am pretty excited about this, and I think that this is going to work out a great way.
Yep. I'm really excited to get to talk about this more in the future. All right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yep.
We're going to talk about that, break it down. We're also going to discuss, just in general, thoughts on Commander as not a meta, but as a community.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a discussion podcast. We're sharing our opinions. This is 2 people who are fairly active in our communities. It's like we have opinions that have
Humans, opinionated, false and true.
Yeah.
And I like to be the person that says, let's discuss things from a point of view, not from this logic of, I am an influencer on Twitter, no shade to them, but they're talking about, well, in my personal meta, well, your personal meta consists of you and 2 other people because you don't go to local game stores that often because you're swarmed by people.
Exactly.
I still play at my game stores. I still play with people. I play with friends. I play with so many crazy things.
I mean, I organize tournaments at my LGS.
That is true. Tournament organizer.
Like, I am the TO for my LGS. So, like,
Baby judge.
I get to see a pretty good amount of decks pretty frequently. I get to see a lot of different types of people playing this game. So, I would like to think I have at least a halfway decent, gauge on this format.
And I have built more decks than most people that are currently alive.
Yeah.
I am the king of a bulk box. I have a stack of well over 120 commanders within 3 feet of us.
Yeah.
Ranging from everything from Kodama of the South Tree
To Silumgar the Drifting
to
Deck.
Kess the Dissonant Mage.
Yep.
There is all walks of life in my deck household.
Yep.
But, I think that's enough for now. I think we've discussed a lot of our decks and told people about ourselves.
Yeah.
I am pretty happy. I like to think that the decks that we have chosen represent ourselves as a player. Terrible people.
Everything you talked about, those are the decks I think of when I think of you.
I think that if you were to know me for a matter of 25 seconds, or just listen to this podcast apparently at this rate.
Yeah, at this point.
Dredge, Soul Tie, Graveyard, Spells,
yeah.
Secretly Force a Will.
But don't tell anybody.
It's really not that good of a card. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's like, I'd rather cast a Demonic Tutor than
Oh, yeah, no, I'd rather be Yawgmoth's Willing than
Which
Force
will
of Willing.
also be debunking stuff like that. That the best card in your deck is, like, if you have the option between a Force of Will or, like, what's a great Demonic Tutor.
Yeah.
Buy the Demonic Tutor, Timmy. Buy the Demonic Tutor. Do yourself a
Cyclonic
favor.
Rift or Mystical Tutor.
Cyclonic Rift is a whole discussion upon itself.
Yep.
That will be discussed in the next episode.
Most definitely.
So, thanks for joining us. We're the Spiked Casuals.
And we will talk to you next time.